It was very good.
Okay.
Wonderful services and music and time with family. Couldn't be better.
Oh, great. Well, welcome everybody to All Stars and Stripes Heroes Connection. I hope everybody had a great Easter weekend, and I'll get moving on here. So as we start every meeting with a riddle, what is visible in the middle of April as well as March that is not recognizable at the beginning or end of either month?
The letter R.
The letter R. Give her a gold star.
Yay.
Very good. You must have heard that one before.
No.
No, that was a good guess. And I just want to make sure, am I recording? Let's see. Okay, good. Yes. All right, so welcome to our meeting. So for the agenda for the next 55 minutes or so here, we're going to start every meeting with a minute of silence so that we can remember those who are sacrificing for our country or who have sacrificed their lives and their families. We have the Pledge of Allegiance, the National Anthem video, our who, what, where, when, how, why, what the Scuttlebutt Club is and how to invite members, our hero highlight, our business briefs and chat, where you put your info in the chat, our spotlight speaker, and today's going to be a Q&A, and announcements and reminders, and we end with an inspirational thought, and then if we have time we can visit. So we'll start with a minute of silence. Okay, now we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If anybody would like to rise. I pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the
United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for
for all.
And then we get to the next one here. Okay. So now for the who, what, where, when, how, and why. So who is this group for? Military veterans, first responders, advocates, and nonprofits, their families, and anyone who wants to do business to business, networking with them. What is the group for or about? Sharing helpful information. It's definitely has done that, I think, for a lot of us, connecting a connection hub for businesses and organizations that want to connect with or are run by our nation's heroes, promoting one another's businesses, services, and organizations. And then where are people from and where do we meet? People are welcome from sea to shining sea, overseas and on the sea, and we meet on Zoom. And then when, right now, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, and you can make the adjustment for whatever time zone you're in. And how do we meet? Just typical Zoom etiquette. Mute yourself if we're not conversing one-to-one. Turn off your camera if you need to step away. Be respectful and kind of speaking and chatting. Use hand raises and other symbols. Feel free to speak up if something needs to be addressed immediately. And then why do we meet? To be resourceful, receive help where needed, connecting, setting up one-to-one meetings, camaraderie, encouragement, collaboration, and empowerment, fellowship, and more. And then if you scan that QR code, if you can see it, that will take you to the Scuttlebutt Club on your phone. And if you pull it up on your computer, and that's where you would go to become a Spotlight speaker and to get the link for our meeting. I added, now this was yesterday's number, so it may be a little higher today, but the membership on the Alignable All Stars and Stripes group is was at 1,061 and 655 in the other group, the Military Spouse Business Owners group. And now we will stop. I wanted to get through that so we could have more time to share with each other. So let me stop sharing. Okay, so I'm going to, if everybody just wants to take a couple minutes, since there's not as many of us here today, and tell us what you do, basically your elevator pitch, but also tell us how we can directly help you with your business today, besides actually being a customer or a client, but how we can promote your business. What's the best way, and how you like introductions made. All right, so I'm going to start with, let's start with Sam.
Good afternoon, everybody. You're going to hear more about me here in the next few minutes, but kind of to touch on what Angela said, for me, it's word of mouth. My business grows via word of mouth. Predominantly those that have shot my moving target platform will grow it. But for those of you that are not familiar, you're about to learn about it. And after the fact, my ask would be that you share that I exist with anybody that you know that either shoots archery or firearms, or even that owns a range.
Okay, great. All right, let's go to Ben.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Rusk, and I am with Wisdom and Wealth LLC. And my mission is to educate people on gold and silver and the reasons you need to have it. I have a call every day at 9 a.m. Eastern, and you can join benrusk.com to join in on that call if you would like. If you know of anybody that's looking for gold and silver, you can send them to my domain there. It's secrettosoundmoney.com, and be glad to help anybody out that is curious about it, maybe not knowing where to start to invest in it or acquire it. And we also carry modern day collectible coins for anybody that's interested in that as a hobby as well. So that's what I do. That's what you can do to send people to me. So thank you.
All right. Hey, Ben, is that secret the number 2 or TO?
Yeah, the number
secret,
2.
the number 2, sellmoney.com.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, John.
Hi, I'm John Petros, Mill City Marketing MA. Best way to help me promote my business is anytime you run into a small business that looks like they don't have that many customers, ask them how they get their customers. If they don't say social media, let them know that's where people hang out nowadays, and that's the best place to find them. And just give them my links.
Awesome. And then,
Awesome.
yeah, Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis
we're-
Schroeder. I'm sorry. Were you
Yeah,
calling on
I
me?
just want to make sure. Yes, I was. I thought John was going to say something else, but I think he was done because he muted. So,
All right.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, my name is Dennis Schroeder. I am a retired Army Medical Service Corps officer. I live in Middle Tennessee. 5 years ago this month, I started the nonprofit that I put into the chat there, the Price of Freedom Foundation. The purpose behind the Price of Freedom Foundation is to tell the stories of our fallen comrades who are no longer around to tell them for themselves. And especially for those who otherwise are forgotten by our society. So what we do is we work with families of the fallen, and we find as many people as possible that knew them during the course of their lifetime, interview them, do additional research, write books, and eventually we will be producing videos to tell that story, because we're doing this for a couple of reasons. Number one, to collect the story, because nobody has the story. Nobody has your story except you. Other people have parts of it. So our fallen, we have to find those parts and pieces and pull that story together. Number two is to preserve that story. And that's what writing the book does and creating the video documentary. And then number three is to tell the story to as large an audience as possible. And let's face it, if I were to give the book away for free to everybody, very few would even crack the binder on that. We need to tell that story in video, because that's where people are today. So how can you help me? Well, try to provide a whole bunch of links there about how to find us. Go over there and visit yourself to see what we're about. Then share that with others. If you're a veteran and you had somebody that you knew who died in service or proximate to their service, would love for you to pay tribute to them, and we'll share that tribute through our channels. Those are probably the two simplest and best ways that you can help me right now.
Okay, great, Dennis. Now, when you talk about fallen, are you talking about just those who have fallen on the battlefield, or
Anyone who dies while in military service to our nation? So I live close to Fort Campbell, and the people, there are three groups of people that are either forgotten or feel shame associated with them. Number one are those who die of traffic accidents. We have a reader board at Fort Campbell that says these many soldiers died within the last year. You know, the essential messages to the young troops there: don't be an idiot, drive slow, be careful, right? But all they really are numbers, even to most of the people who live and work there on Fort Campbell. Number two are those that get sick and die. I've been trying to follow up with the director of a hospice facility outside of Fort Campbell, who had an active duty sergeant there in her facility who has terminal illness. And so we want to be able to honor them. And number three are soldier suicides. I mean, that number is way too high, and we don't talk about it enough. And those family members who had had their loved one die from self-inflicted wounds need to have that story told, and told with dignity and respect. So that's my heart. You know, I want to. You know, we open it up to anyone who died of any cause. Now let's step back and say, have there been soldiers who've done horrible things and died either as a part of that. We know of soldiers that killed others, the domestic violence, etc. We are not seeking those families out, but honestly, I don't think those families are going to want to have us tell that their loved one's story. If perhaps somebody did, we'll do a lot of soul searching and talking with those families to find out why. Because I don't want anybody who believes that they've got a family member whose story is worth telling to have it not told.
Thank you so much, Dennis, and appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Natalie. You're muted, hun.
I've been blessed. My husband was in the service 2 years before I met him, but he lived to 77. My brother was in service, I think, 2 years at about the same time in the early 50s, and he's now 93. So neither of them would have their stories told, but they served. You probably remember from other weeks that I'm in health and wellness, and I love helping families. Nowadays, our food supply, our chemicals, both in their food and in the homes, really are making drastic effects on our health. I would love to be working with military families. We have a free membership for with any current or surviving spouse or retired military person with Shackley. And so the idea is people switch brands from Costco or Kroger or wherever, and they purchase online. They get the high quality value for their money, and they can earn if they so desire. So I'm looking for people, could be retirees like myself, could be young moms, even military moms that float from city to city. Somebody getting out of the military that doesn't know what to do with their life. It's a small investment, great potential, not only for health and wellness, but for financial health. So I'm in Michigan. I can talk to anyone, anywhere doesn't even have to be the continental United States. It could be Hawaii or Alaska. Actually, it could be Malaysia and a few other places, but I haven't tried that yet. So anyway, I am so pleased to be here and be a part of Angela's group. It's just marvelous. I love doing the pledge and singing the muted.
Kind of like at the beginning of the week to kind of center ourselves and be reminded, and yes. And with the being able to do business to business networking.
And if I miss, it's because I'm out of town. Last week
I know that. Yeah, Natalie is.
I was in New Hampshire with my 8 great grandkids that live there in the snow. And
I know that sometimes people can't make it for various reasons, but I really encourage people that if you, especially if you're a spotlight speaker, to try to come every week so that you can support the other spotlight speakers as well and learn from them and help them. And I always forget to talk about me. I go back and I always forget to do my elevator pitch. And I really don't really have an elevator pitch, but I'd like to share with you all that I used to do credit repair, and I loved it because I could help people who 90% of the time, people who have credit issues, it's because of some kind of tragedy in their life. They went through a divorce or death in the family, an illness, something tragic happened. And to be able to help them get back on their feet is just, I love that, to be able to help them. Well, I ended up becoming a Legal Shield associate as an added benefit to my credit repair clients. And then this last December, the credit repair company was an awesome company, been in business 24 years. They decided to close their doors and not take any more new clients. The gentleman wanted to retire. And so I thought, well, I'll just do Legal Shield. Well, I've recently been accepted to work with this financial company called WealthWave, and I'm in the middle of getting my insurance license and taking my test and all of that stuff. But in the meanwhile, the way that you all can help me with this, I'm super excited because I'm gonna be able to help people on a much more deeper, broader level with this. And the things that they teach are in line with the things that I was already telling people before. So the way that you can help me, which Natalie helped me with this, and I'm not going to try to sell you anything, and I'm not going to try to get you to come on board with this business, but I need people that I can do a presentation for, or with my field trainer, to show you what I'm going to be doing so that you can refer people to me. And I'm so excited. I'm taking long here, but I just want to tell y'all, I just found out that they have a skills bridge program with this. So I will be able to help military members who are coming out of the military up to 180 days before their discharge date that they're getting out, and be able to bring them in and get them all the training that they need and get them on their way to having a career as a financial literacy educator, and eventually become a financial advisor and all of that. So anyways, that's how y'all can help me. So if you're open to it, schedule a 1 hour one-to-one with me. I think I set up a 30-minute with Natalie, but we definitely went to an hour. So I want to be fair with you. But anyways, so that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and you want to find me at angelanelson.life. As when I get all set up, I'll have links to my website there. All right, let me go back to share. I got everybody right. I would hope so. All right. So today for our hero highlight, Sam Westfall is going to be our spotlight speaker. So I'm going to give Sam like 3 or 4, 5 minutes, or 2, 3, whatever you want to take, and talk about your service in the U.S. Army. And I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and pop up your slide here for your spotlight speaker, and you can just kind of segue into that if you'd like to. Sam is the creator and the owner of ArcheryNMotion, and he's going to be telling you all about that. Jot down some questions as we're talking, and I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to stop sharing my slide. Oh, and if you have anything you need to share, Sam, I'm going to go ahead and make you a.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So tell us about your Army service.
All right. I'm hoping it's just you breaking up and not everybody. All right. So with that said, thank you, Angela, for having me as a speaker, and then as well as a spotlight. So I'm from Boulder, Colorado. Grew up east of Boulder, so Boulder's its own little universe. Very, very, very different world. But for someone from Boulder to walk into the military recruitment office, to an Army recruitment office, and say, I want to join, I had the recruiters just fumbling all over themselves. They had no idea what to do. They had no idea where the paperwork was. It was fun to watch. Anyway, so I got through the military recruiters. I went and did my ASVAB test, which is the test you need to take in order to figure out what you qualify from a job function in the military. Did my ASVAB. In that time, or at that point, I passed high enough from a mechanical perspective that I could do anything from a generator mechanic all the way to an Apache. At the time, I had a huge fear of heights. And so when talking to the recruiters, I said, Apache mechanic, does that mean I have to go up in the air? Well, yeah, you'll have to occasionally fly it, they said. I said, okay, that's out. So how do you sell an 18-year-old kid to go into the Army? How about something big that blows stuff up? So in the national anthem video that Angela showed a few minutes ago, pretty much anything that was on the ground that the Army had to offer, whether it was M1 Abrams, Bradleys, howitzers, MLRS, Humvees, Deuce and a half 5 tons, Hemmets, Hets, the broad spectrum of vehicles, I played mechanic for 7 years. Predominantly an M1 Abrams mechanic, So I got a little bit of welding, a little bit of fabrication, a lot of electrical, and a lot of turbine engine work. 7 years in the Army. So I got injured. I got crushed between two tanks. That's a longer conversation over a lot more beer. So I got crushed. The Army has this weird rule that if you can't run anymore, they no longer have a use for you. So I got medically separated. I'm now a service disabled vet. I utilize that for my business so that I can, go through a little bit of SBA work to help get government grants and perspectives. So that takes me into out of the Army. I spent the next 22 years working in IT for various companies, various industries, predominantly in the infrastructure side. So dealing with servers, networking, operating systems, virtualization, that type of thing. Over the course of all of this time, I've spent 35 years as a hunter and competitive shooter though. So early last year, I decided I wanted to do something different. So I took my 35 years as a hunter and competitive shooter, my time in the Army as a mechanic, my time in technology, and I decided to start ArcheryNMotion, which is a moving target platform for both 3D archery targets or firearms, cardboard or steel plate targets. And that kind of leads me into what I'm doing today. And Angela was kind enough to bring me in here and let me talk, and we'll see if we can hold it together a little bit. So again, ArcheryNMotion, moving target platform. So what are we? We're the top tier veteran owned provider, manufacturer of moving targets. I can take any 3D archery target, whether it's a little full-size squirrel all the way to a full-size standing elk, and we can put it on that platform. We can let it roll so that archers, bow hunters can shoot at it, given a little bit different perspective on shooting scenarios, more realistic practice, improved accuracy, and we're going to reduce the goal. Try that again. Our goal is to reduce the number of wounded animals. Right now, it's about 300,000 big game animals are non-fatally wounded each year. My goal with improved practice and improved accuracy with ArcheryNMotion is to drop that number significantly throughout the U.S. So, by improved practice, you have higher percentage of ethical shots. More ethical shots means higher volume of lethal shots. So that's on the archery side. On the firearm side, those that served in here will agree with me. Regardless of what branch you serve in, we don't practice on moving targets. It's occasionally a pop-up target that would lay up. You got an X number of seconds to shoot at, and it would lay right back down. I can take steel plate or cardboard targets all the way out to 100 plus yards, and we can make them roll side to side, or we can make them roll towards you, or we can make them roll diagonally away from you, whatever the case may be. And given a more realistic shot scenario for law enforcement, tactical trainers, competitive shooters, and finally the military. Gives a whole different world for how we train. And for those that served, we all know the statement in theory of train as you fight. So with that, kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. The moving target provides more realistic practice, ethical shot placement, reduced wounded animals, efficient lethality, improved accuracy, and improved confidence in how you shoot. All right. So really, what's our target? Well, we're looking for individual hunters, competitive shooters, clubs, outfitters, ranges, tournament venues, different pricing models that go anywhere from $2,000 all the way up to $7,000, depending on which model you're looking at. All right. So as Angela said earlier, I'm going to talk for a few minutes, but then I want the rest of it to be open conversation and questions. So that's really all I have. I don't spend a whole lot of time talking to people, so I'd rather go shoot. But anyway, what questions do y'all have for me?
So we can shoot the bull here. How about that?
That's right. Ben, what do you got?
Okay. Ben.
So speed and distance of these targets.
Right. Great question.
How far they travel?
Lowest end model, the $2,000 model, is 8-foot straight line movement, moving at about 2.5 miles an hour. 30 yards, it's a fun shot. 60 yards, it's a challenging shot. Next model is a 10-footer, and that's a variable speed. So you can actually change the speed while it's rolling anywhere from 2.5 to 4 miles an hour. Again, put that out at 60 yards, it becomes very entertaining and very humbling for a lot of people. My model that's in prototype is 36 foot in an oval track, variable speed on the fly. You're get quartering to, quartering away, broadside and frontal shots on that one because of the oval tracks aspect of it. But again, you're all the way out to 100 yards if you really want to, and that becomes an entertainment for a lot of people as they try to lose arrows. That answer your question, sir?
Yes. What is the average range that archery practices at?
So it depends on where you're at. So from what I heard during the introductions, most of you folks are East Coast, thereabouts, from Mississippi West, or Mississippi East, rather. Most bow hunters will shoot somewhere between 15 to 40 yards on an animal. They'll usually practice maybe out to 60, which is great. That's wonderful practice. It gives a whole different scenario for that. But once you come across the west line of that Mississippi River, we have some longer shots. I've taken shots on antelope at 94, 95 yards with a bow. So having that 100-yard practice is a good thing. Having 100 yards of practice on a moving target makes it a lot more challenging and a lot more realistic. Especially because deer, elk, pronghorn, they don't sit still hardly ever. When you get down into the southern states that hunt for hogs, most of those shots are 30, 35 yards at most. But hogs, I've hunted them a couple of years down in Texas. They don't sit still at all. They're constantly bouncing around, moving, eating, talking, getting moved out of the way by their neighbor. So, having that moving target practice is make things a lot more efficient for a lot of people. And like I said, overall, reduce that number of wounded animals. Mr. Dennis.
Do you have a facility only, or do you sell this concept to other facilities?
My goal is to sell it to other facilities. My wife and I have been talking and joking about opening up our own indoor archery range and having several of the moving targets in there. We're just not there yet. So right now I'm just selling it to the ranges, the competition venues, and tactical trainers, that type of thing.
Do you have any that you've sold in Michigan?
Not yet. There's actually an event here later this month. I'll be probably coming up to Wisconsin. It'll be about as close as I'm going to get to you. But Beast Mode Archery has an event up there, and there's somewhere between 400 and 600 shooters up there. So we're going to see if we can't get one of the moving targets up into their venue.
I think Dennis has a question.
Yes. So just kind of following along those lines, how would we best get, because I've got guys that I know that are hunters, and a lot of guys that I know that are indoor handgun shooters, etc. And I'd love to be able to get folks familiar with what you're doing, and I'm assuming that what you just answered that. I think that getting this into the ranges that already exist is really what you're looking at, right? So I'd like to be able to. Is it just is the information there on your website, or is there something else? If say I get a referral to somebody, one of my buddies at my local cigar lounge says, hey, they really ought to talk to these folks. Is there something else that's more like brochure wise that I could say, hey, send a brochure to these folks?
So I don't necessarily do brochures. Most of the similar to the gentleman's name that I can't see right now. Similar to what John was saying, that from a marketing perspective, paper, even to your own point, right? Paper, books, kind of a dying thing. So I'm using predominantly social media, and that's where most of my customers live. So if you go to the cigar bar and somebody starts talking about shooting, send them over to either to my website or to my YouTube channel, and they can see what type of, how they could utilize this moving target in their space. So I do have a couple firearms videos. Most of them are archery related, but I do have firearms videos on there as well.
Cool.
For years, I shot IDPA, 2-gun, 3-gun, Indoor Combat League. So I've played in that space. I know where the need for this product is. Does that help answer your question?
It does. It does. I'll be sharing that with a number of people. I've got a son who's an attorney up in Washington, but spent time in the service, and he's big into building his own weapons. But he's also a medieval reenactor, so I know he's got a lot of archers in that group.
There you go.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice.
All right. I'd love
I
to
have a
hang around.
question.
I've got to go, guys. I
Okay.
look forward to
Bye,
talking to you all
Dennis.
next week. Have a
Bye,
blessed
Dennis.
week.
All right. Thanks, sir.
You
All right,
too.
you bet. Bye-bye.
Hey, I have a question, Sam. So, two questions actually. How would you, oh, hi, Monica, by the way. Monica popped in on us. So how would a shooting range, incorporate this into their range?
So true shooting range,
Like, would
firearms
they
range.
have to have firearms range? Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about a normal firearms range where they're shooting pistol and rifle, pistol, you're typically shooting somewhere between 10 yards to maybe 25. You might get some shooters that go out to 50, but predominantly not so much. Rifle side, if you're looking at long range, high power rifles, hunting type rifles, yeah, I'm not in the right space because my wireless controller can only go to 120 yards. But from a competition perspective, most of the rifle competitions are maybe going to go out to 100 yards at most. So I do fit within those spectrums. Now, how would they integrate it? We've got a couple different options where we can set the mover in place, which takes under 10 minutes to set it up. You throw either a cardboard target or a steel plate for that instant reactivity. Especially out at distance, steel plate makes more sense. From a power perspective, we can either run it off a generator, off a wall power, or off a solar panel. So it really doesn't matter, how remote the range is or what the functionality is. If they've got power or not. If they're truly a remote range, you can throw a solar panel out there; it'll run just fine.
And my second question is the animals are they taxidermy, or like is that something that people have to buy separately? I mean, how does that work? I mean, can you just
so
put
the
like
animal that's a good question. Yeah, so if you think about the target that's like here in the picture behind me here, so that's a foam 3D elk. There are 5 major manufacturers across the US that build different targets. Like I said, from a squirrel all the way to a full-size standing elk. I would love to be able to do some of the Bigfoot and Sasquatch targets, the full size, because they're 7 foot tall and they're really fun to shoot. But my platform is not big enough to support those. But I can do squirrel to the full-size elk or the full-size buffalo. So it's everything's pre-configured, doesn't matter. But you're not actually shooting. In this case, you're not shooting a taxidermy animal. The targets are separate. I do have a partnership with one of the manufacturers to get some discounts from their group of targets. So whether that's raccoons or deer, bear, they do have a little Bigfoot, 4 foot tall, kind of cute, kind of fun to shoot at. Coyotes, that type of thing, wolves. So that's an additional cost. But most of the ranges that I'm selling to, or that are potential customers, most of those on the archery side will already have existing 3D archery targets in their inventory. On the firearm side, most of those gun ranges will have some form of cardboard or steel plate targets in their inventory. Again, they're welcome to buy those from me as well, but predominantly my goal is to be able to sell the moving target platform, not necessarily the targets that go with them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. This seems like it would be something that the military could actually use.
And that's the end goal.
for-
I need to be able to build a little bit of
Is that
credibility and make sure that I've got
the-
a solid process for manufacturing before I get to that point.
Right, we want to scale it, right? Yes. Okay, can y'all see me okay? Because my internet thing keeps saying it's slow. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, Sam, I got a question for you. Oh, actually, not even a question. How about an offer? If you need any help doing any ads or anything to put out on social media, I'm willing to work with you and help you out by defining who goes to see the ads.
Okay.
If you want,
Mr. John, thank you for that.
if you want, we can schedule a one-on-one and and explain to you how we can probably help you out.
All right. Thanks, sir. Mr. Ben, you had a question?
Yeah, do you have any plans to do less than 36-foot ovals?
Yeah, we've talked about it. When we were building out some of the prototypes, we tried to go down to a 26-foot oval. The challenge became, because the cart itself is very robust and very off-roadable, so it doesn't matter if it'll roll in Colorado or in Florida. I tried to make it so that it was usable just about anywhere. The problem became when we go to a smaller form factor or a smaller track factor, was that the corners were too tight for the cart to go around.
Makes sense.
So I had to, from a geometry perspective, I had to figure out what was the right size curves in the track in order to make it functional. Does that answer?
Yep. That makes sense. I was just wondering why it had to be such a big oval, but that explains why.
So I said 36 feet. So that's linear distance. So you've got 9 foot across, and then 6, 7, 8, almost 8 foot in length. So it's really, from a size perspective, you're taking up a little bit more than a garage space.
Right.
It's that linear distance, 36 feet.
So it's still only traveling about 8 feet from within
eyesight. It's 8 foot in length and about 9 foot across.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Sam.
Anybody
I really
else?
appreciate.
No?
Anybody else have questions?
Do you have a price on the 36?
Thank you all for your time.
Yet?
I'm sorry, what?
What's that?
Do you have a price on the 36-foot yet?
That's the high end. So that's at $7,000.
Okay.
The cart itself is self-propelled. Everything is integrated into the cart. The battery alone is almost $900 and it'll run for about 7 hours, depending on what size target you put on there. So we wanted to make it pretty robust, so it does have a price point for it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the questions, folks. Angela, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, great. Yeah, this worked out really good. I like this Q&A format. All right. I am going to go ahead and share my screen again. And here we go. All right. There is Sam's information if you need to do a screenshot, and also this recording will be going on the Scuttlebutt and also onto the alignable group. On both alignable groups, so you'll be able to go back and watch it and get the information again. Okay, so here's our upcoming spotlight speakers. If you see yourself up there, just be ready and prepared to do your presentation on the date. And if there's a problem, just let me know. I can move things around as long as I know a couple weeks out. And if you've already spoken, go ahead and do another submission to be a spotlight speaker, because we're all the way up into July now. So more people will be here to hear about your business. And let's see, no, actually August. Yeah, July and August is where we're booking up to. And you can actually, I've got dates on there all the way out to December, because some people like to be able to do their presentations around the holidays, depending on what they have to offer. And just a reminder about the Founders Kickoff Boot Gala that Keith was telling us about. And April is the month of the military child. Just something to keep in mind. If you know somebody who's in the military, maybe take a time to, if they're overseas, send them a care package or a card or anything, just to let them know you're thinking about them. And April 5th is Gold Star Spouses Day. So if you know of any Gold Star spouses, keep them in mind on Friday, April 5th. And our inspirational thought for today is, when you aim for perfection, you discover it's a moving target. I thought that was kind of appropriate for our spotlight the speaker today. I try, I try to put a little thought into it.
No, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then our last riddle for the day, and then if anybody wants to hang out and visit for the last 10 minutes, what kind of spring flowers can be observed on people's faces? This is an easy one. Anybody know? Nope. Nope.
Tulips.
Oh, yeah. Natalie got it. Tulips. Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming to the All Stars and Stripes this week. If you would, like right now, stop and think of 2 to 3 people that need to know about this meeting and make a note to invite them to come next week. And you can just go to the scuttlebutt.club and send them at the bottom. There's a little button, a little circle button that has like a little arrow. You click on that and it'll let you send that card to whoever you want to send it to. You can either copy it or you can send it. There's a number of different ways that you can send it by email. And then that way they can watch last week's, get an idea of what we're about, and then put it on their calendar to come. And invite them also to our group. If they can't make it to the meeting, just be sure to invite them to our group.
Make sure
So, yes, Natalie. Yes.
information in the chat and then save the chat.
Yes, everybody needs to put their information in the chat. If you don't know how to save the chat, all you do is you go to the chat, you pull it up, and down at the very bottom, there's like the emojis and where you can attach things, and there's 3 little dots, and you click on it where it says more. And one of the options is to save chat, and it'll automatically save it to a little text file, and usually we'll put it in a folder that says Zoom, and it may even make another folder that has the date of this meeting on it. So you'll be able to find it easy. But anyways, I'm going to stop recording. Everybody say bye, and we'll see y'all next week. Let me stop this here.